Imagine this. You've packed your bags, said goodbye to your family, grabbed your boarding pass, and you're standing right there at the security checkpoint, heart racing just a little because you're excited for your trip. And then it happens. The conveyor belt stops. A TSA agent walks over. They ask you to step aside. Your bag gets pulled. And just like that, your flight is gone. Not because you did something criminal, not because you're a bad person, but because you had no idea about the new rules that went into effect at American airports in 2026. That exact nightmare is happening to real travelers every single day right now. And today, I'm going to make absolutely sure it never happens to you. The TSA and Federal Aviation Authorities have rolled out a serious wave of updated screening regulations this year, and the changes are bigger than anything we've seen in over a decade. These aren't minor tweaks. These are rule changes that are catching thousands of passengers completely off guard. People who travel regularly, people who thought they knew the rules, people who have flown dozens of times before. And the consequences aren't just a slap on the wrist. We're talking about missed flights, confiscated items worth hundreds of dollars, secondary interrogations that last over an hour, and in some cases, being placed on a watch list that makes every future flight a headache. So let's get straight into it, because this information could literally save your next trip. The first major change that is stopping people dead in their tracks is the new restriction on lithium battery power banks. Now, you might be thinking, I've traveled with my power bank 100 times, what's different? Here's what's different. The TSA has now implemented a strict milliampere hour limit that is being actively enforced at every major checkpoint. Power banks exceeding 100 watt-hours are now being flagged and confiscated on the spot if they are found in your checked luggage. And here's the twist that's tripping everyone up. Even if you move them to your carry-on, anything above 160 watt-hours is now completely banned from the aircraft entirely. No exceptions, no appeals at the gate. Those large charging stations people buy for camping or long trips? Gone. Confiscated. No compensation. Travelers are losing $80, $100, $150 power banks every single day because they didn't get the memo. The second thing getting people stopped is something almost nobody is talking about, and that is modified or unlabeled food containers. The 2026 screening update includes enhanced protocols around homemade food items, particularly anything stored in containers that block X-ray imaging. Agents now have full authority to open, inspect, and if necessary, dispose of any food item they cannot clearly identify through the scanner. This is hitting international travelers especially hard. People who pack home-cooked meals, traditional foods in foil-wrapped packaging, or dense items like certain breads and rice dishes that appear as solid masses on the scanner. You are not doing anything wrong by packing food, but if that item raises a flag, you will be pulled aside. And if inspection takes too long, you will miss your flight. Now here's one that is going to shock a lot of people, especially parents. The new rules have added stricter guidelines around certain over-the-counter medications and supplements when carried in bulk quantities. If you are carrying more than a 90-day supply of any liquid medication, including things like liquid melatonin, certain vitamins in syrup form, or prescription liquid medicines, you now need documented medical authorization, either printed or digitally accessible at the checkpoint. Agents are not trying to target sick people or families with medical needs, but the volume thresholds have been tightened because certain liquid substances were being exploited. If you show up without documentation and your liquid meds exceed the new threshold, they will be flagged, and you will be delayed at minimum. The next one is huge for tech travelers and remote workers, and this one has already caused massive chaos at airports like LAX, JFK, and O'Hare. The TSA has expanded its electronic screening protocol to include a much wider range of devices that must now be removed from your bag and placed separately in the tray. It's no longer just laptops. It is now any device with a screen larger than a standard tablet. That includes portable monitors, drawing tablets, electronic readers with large displays, and certain gaming handhelds. If you leave these in your bag, the scanner flags it. Your entire bag gets pulled for manual inspection, and you are standing there watching everyone else walk through while you wait. And if you're cutting it close to your departure time, that wait is the difference between boarding and not boarding. Here's another one that travelers with hobbies are getting caught on constantly. Certain types of tools that were previously allowed in carry-on bags under specific size limits have now been reclassified under the 2026 update. Small wrenches, certain multi-tools, and compact utility knives that were sitting right on the edge of the old guidelines have been pulled to the restricted side. The frustrating part is that these items were totally fine last year, but the classification has shifted, and TSA agents are enforcing the new list strictly. If you're a photographer, a musician traveling with equipment, or someone who just likes to keep a small toolkit handy, check the updated TSA prohibited items list before you pack, because what was fine in 2025 may cost you your bag contents in 2026. Something else that is catching people completely off guard is the new policy around realistic-looking toy weapons and prop items. If you are a content creator, a cosplayer, or someone who travels with replica items for work or entertainment, listen very carefully. Realistic prop guns, fake grenades used in videos, and certain theatrical weapons that were previously allowed in checked luggage with proper declaration are now subject to case-by-case evaluation at the discretion of the screening officer. The word discretion is doing a lot of work in that sentence. That means even if you've traveled with the same prop item 10 times before, a new officer with updated guidance can hold you up, confiscate the item, or refer you to a secondary screening area. And finally, the one that is affecting the most everyday travelers, the enhanced body scanner opt-out process has changed. If you opt out of the advanced imaging scanner and request a manual pat-down instead, the wait time for a same-gender agent is now officially logged and tracked, but your boarding gate is not paused. The clock on your flight does not stop. Travelers who opt out during peak hours at busy airports are finding themselves waiting 20 to 35 minutes for a manual screening agent, and by the time they're cleared, their gate is already closing. Know this before you decide to opt out, especially during morning rush hours at major hubs. The bottom line is this: the rules at American airports in 2026 are tighter, broader, and more actively enforced than they have ever been. The TSA is not doing this to ruin your trip. They are responding to real security intelligence and evolving threats. But they are also not going to hold your hand through changes you didn't know about. That responsibility is on you. And now that you've watched this video, you are ahead of the thousands of people who will walk into an airport this week completely unprepared. Share this with someone who has a trip coming up. It might just save their vacation.